Namo Buddhaya, and welcome to Buddha Dhamma TV Saturday program. I am Lisa Chu. Today we will start with a Dharma talk by Venerable Bhante Quan Ching, a song followed by a Jataka tale. The Dharma talk today is by Venerable Quan Ching, who is the abbot and one of the founders of the International Buddhist Temple. He was ordained in 1999 under Venerable Zhu Lang of Miao Fa Monastery in the United States. Since then, the Venerable has traveled all over the world holding lectures in different languages to promote the Dharma. We are grateful to the Venerable for sharing with us the Dharma topic today entitled, How to Meditate.
We've been talking about the Eightfold Noble Ways. Remember, meditation is in two parts or two perspectives. One is mental stabilization, or some people call it focus, some people call it concentration. But if you translate the samatha into just concentration, is not the right translation. You see, when the original Sanskrit or Pali are translated into English and Chinese, some of the meaning could be distorted a bit. And because of the distortion of meaning, sometimes you get lost in the true meaning of it. But meditation is in two parts. One is mental stabilization. In the Pali language is samatha, in the Sanskrit language is samatha, and the other part is mental introspection. And some people translate it as contemplation, but the Sanskrit word is vipassana, same as the Pali word, vipassana. So it's mental stabilization and mental introspection. Mental stabilization is using the breath as the object of attention. You have counting the breath, following the breath, and finally you may achieve stabilization of the mind. Now that is just on stabilize your mind or calm down your mind. We say the first step, the very simple basic step that you have to learn in meditation is, first of all, learn how to calm your mind and relax the body. Calm your mind and relax the body. If you cannot even calm your mind and relax the body, you cannot further on to do any kind of meditation at all. And it's exactly in not being able to calm the mind and relax the body, sometimes we run into emotional problems. So first of all, you need to calm down yourself. That's the reason why we're learning meditation, samatha, mental stabilization, arriving at samadhi. We call it samadhi. The next one is introspection. Introspection, we need more time to talk about it, because introspection concerns wisdom, not just the mental stabilization. You need a lot of concepts, Buddhist concepts, to put into your meditation. You need wisdom. And what kind of wisdom we'll put in? What the Buddha told us. All the sutras, everything, all the literature of 2,600 years ago, there was a historical Buddha, a true historical Buddha who spent 49 years to talk about what he discovered. It was put in writing, and it was a tremendous amount, immeasurable amount. So, but we don't need to read all of it. It's impossible to read all of it. So we have to read some of them, the very important ones, and then using these concepts to contemplate, to observe, to think. One has to think with concepts, right? Without concepts, how can you think? But you need to put the right concepts in your mind in order to think about it. So that's the reason why we finished with samatha, which is the stabilization part. Now we're in the introspective part, introspection part. And introspection, we have already introduced a few concepts, and the Noble Eightfold Ways is one of the few concepts that we introduce, which is very important. We just do a brief review. Right perspective, right orientation, right speech, right action, right lifestyle, right efforts, right introspection, and right mental equilibrium. And I have the Pali language in bracket and the Chinese language in bracket. I changed the Chinese translation. I think the Chinese translation, I think personally, sometimes is misleading. That's the reason why you can't get the right meaning. We already have covered up to number 6, which is the right effort. Right effort is like something that would add on to the experiment to make it more speedy, or to make it more effective, or to make it more, I don't know, easy to observe. So the right effort must be applied to the right perspective, right orientation, right speech, right action, right lifestyle. All the other 7 ways need the right effort. The right effort. When the right effort, it means it comprises of 4 parts. The right effort pertains to the mind. Right effort includes prevention, elimination, cultivation, and maintenance. Prevention is to prevent evil and unwholesome states of mind from arising. Elimination is, if it has arisen, you have to stop it. Stop evil and unwholesome state of minds. Stop if it's already arising. So the first one is to prevent it. Preventative measure. Prevent, if I can give an example, prevention is to prevent things from happening, to prevent emotions from happening, to prevent crimes from happening. So in a society, we can't just say eliminate, eliminate. We have to prevent. When a fire has already come out, you eliminate the fire. And that's the time when the rescue crew is already here, it could be too late. So we better prevent it from happening. That's the first procedure. Prevent it from happening, and if it has happened, then you have to eliminate it. But the best is to prevent it from happening. Preventative measure is always the safest measure. Prevent yourself from having bad health is better than being sick and get a doctor, right? So prevention, elimination, and we have talked about that already. So let's get on to the next one, which is cultivation and maintenance, which falls under the main title, right effort. So the right effort has to be prevention, elimination, cultivation, and maintenance. And we stop at cultivation. Cultivation is to produce, cause to arise wholesome states of mind, not unwholesome. Your state of mind always has to be wholesome. There's a difference between wholesome and unwholesome emotions, negative and positive emotions. A wholesome state of mind is positive emotions. You know, emotions have 2 categories, unwholesome emotion and wholesome emotions. What is wholesome emotion? Compassion, loving kindness, generosity, unselfishness, that is wholesome emotion. Unwholesome, selfishness, egoistic, cruelty, anger, violence, hatred, jealousy, greediness, depression, anxiety, fear, those are unwholesome. So we want to cultivate wholesome states of mind. This cultivation is cultivation of the mind, of the mental states of mind. Now it gets onto the meditative part of it. It's the mind that we need to change. The mind, there's a difference between actual actions already performed, actual words already spoken, and what is inside the mind. It's just a thought, right? And It concerns states of mind. What is in the mind is latent energy. A thought is energy. It's latent. It's potential energy. When it's already expressed, it's expressed energy. What is expressed energy? From a thought. Your action, your speech, you express your speech, right? That's expressed energy. You express actions by punching, that's an expressed energy. But an expressed energy always have a cost to it. That cost is latent energy, the thought in your mind. So whenever you want to change something, it may be too late when it's already expressed. You change before it's being expressed, when it's potentially in your mind, when it's latent in your mind. It's the same as any kind of concept of energy, kinetic energy. Kinetic is motion, right? A moving motion. Kinetic is already expressed. The motion is already expressed. But the potential energy is not expressed yet. It's the thought in your mind. What we need to change, we better change the mind first. When that fist is punched out, is already an injury to someone. If we want to cultivate states of mind, what we need to do is we have to understand how we think, right? Getting back to the first lesson, I'm sure many people already know about it. How do we think? It's important that if we want to cultivate a wholesome state of mind, we need to know how we think first. How is a thought cultivated? How do we interact to external environments? So we need how our mentality works. Then we can change it. Then we can change our thought. We need to know how a thought comes up, right? So let's get up to our mental experience. In order to change our mind, we need how we think. That's a mental experience. Let's start very quickly. I'm sure quite a few people already know, but it's just to give you a review. Quite many people already know about it because they've been here for quite a while, and you know how we think. We know how a thought is created, and know how that thought is carried into action. But let's just have a review of what's going on. We have external environments. We interact with externalities. What are externalities? Objects, sound, smell, taste, and touch. That is includes everything. If we want to say scientifically, what's object? It's a combination of molecules, protons, neutrons, you name them. What is sound? It's a kind of frequency of waves, length. But we don't need to get into science. I'm not a scientist. I'm just, trying to relate it to actual experiences so that we can understand it better. So we have all these 5 external environments in a main category, which includes almost everything. And then what do? We, as an individual, we have perception. Correspondingly, what do? Our eyes will see objects, our ears listen to sound, our nose smell, all these frequencies, our tongue taste, our body tactility, touch. What do we have? We have senses, right? We have senses, and senses are perception through the 5 sensory organs. We have senses. Because we have senses, we interact with externalities. When we interact with externalities, sometimes we express our energy. When we express our energy, it becomes an action. When an action is produced, what happens? When an action is produced, there is an equal and opposite amount of interaction that works towards it. Right? So that's what we learned in high school. That is Newton's 3rd law of energy. Whenever an action is performed, an equal amount of interaction will come out. That means if you are compassionate to others, then the compassion will flow back to you. If you're cruel to others, the cruelty will flow back to you. When? We don't know. We don't know what time. It depends on the maturity of time. All right, perceptions, that's how we think. That's how our senses, sensory organs are always interacting with externalities, non-stop. Right? Any objection? No objection, right? What happens when you're sleeping? Your eyes are closed. You're not listening to external sound. You're not eating. You're not smelling. What happens when are all these senses stop? Sure. But it doesn't mean that all sensory organs stops. You still have a brain. You still have a brain. That brain is the sixth consciousness that's still active when you're sleeping. That's why in your sleep, when you are sleeping, you still have dreams. What do you do when you have dreams? In your dreams, you go back to the past. You take out some files and dream about it, and you may worry about the future. And all that, that's the sixth consciousness. But anyway, the first 5 sensory organs are the present moment, salesmen and salesladies. And then we have a cognition process, which is interpretation, rationalization of the perception. Because the perception itself cannot make a decision. Only the sixth consciousness will make a decision. All right, and then your seventh consciousness, your ego, would personalize everything. This is mine. How come you intrude in my properties? How come you do this? How come you do that? You personalize everything. And because of the personalization, emotions arouse. Because you personalize it. When you personalize, your self-esteem comes up. Your self-obsession comes up. That self comes up. That's the seventh consciousness, which is your ego consciousness. We call it the manas. The sixth consciousness, we call it the mano. And then there's also the storage consciousness, which is the alaya consciousness, that store everything that you have done, you have thought, you have acted. So whatever you have spoken, whatever you have acted, your behavior, and even whatever you have thought, what you have acted, what you have spoken, that's your expressed energy. You express energy. Whatever is in your mind, that is your latent energy. All this gets stored. Where? In your alaya consciousness. It won't get away. So be careful with your thought. Some people say, as long as I don't perform it, I'm okay. I always want to steal that diamond ring in the window, in that, but I haven't done it. But that greediness thought is already in your mind. And if you keep on thinking about stealing and stealing and stealing, somehow at certain circumstances, that thought, that seed, the seed inside would sprout into a small little plant where the action and words are spoken, you may have expressed the energy. So everything of this is stored in your eight consciousness. So we have to be very careful with how we think. That's what the positive thinkers talk about. Whatever the mind can conceive, the mind will eventually do it. So what kind of mind you want to conceive? If you want to conceive a cruelty mind, you hunt. You kill animals just because of pleasure. You don't care about sufferings of other animals. That's not a thought of compassion. That's a thought of cruelty. However, if you have a thought of compassion, you always say, how can I donate my money out to help others? How can I donate my energy, be a volunteer to help others? How do I go across the border as across the border doctor to help underdeveloped countries, patients in underdeveloped countries? So now it all springs from a thought. All right, so these are the mental experiences that we have. And we have to keep these mental experiences in our mind in order to practice meditation. Meditation is not just yoga, Meditation is just not to improve your health. Meditation is to guide you to enlightenment where you are beyond death. You're not going in rebirth and birth anymore. It's beyond. I like that new product coming out. They call it Beyond Burger. You know what Beyond Burger? Burger is what you eat on, meat. But now they changed the meat to plant. And they say beyond, that means when you're eating the Beyond Burger, you should think beyond eating. We have to eat to survive. The Buddha said, yes, but you have to go beyond survival, beyond existence. Right now we're existing and we only have 100 years to exist. We have to go beyond 100 years. That's in the Buddhist teaching, to go beyond 100 years, beyond time. We say, I always think if we change Beyond Burger to beyond time, that would be better. Beyond time. So we need to put this framework in our mind. With this framework in our mind, what would you be thinking of in your meditation? What would you be thinking of in your pursuit for enlightenment? In your pursuit for purity of mind? What are you thinking of? Just this. Just on this PowerPoint, you can think for many, many days. You can ponder on it. You can contemplate on it. You can introspect on it. How do we introspect on it? For example, let's take an example. I still have 15 minutes to go, so I can take as many examples as I want. Looking at this, I think really if you have taken a picture of this, develop into a big picture and paste it to your wall and contemplate on this. Let's do a little bit more talking on this. Perception. In our daily lives, how do we use our perception? How do we use our eyes? We use our eyes to do many things. Some are wholesome things, some are unwholesome things. We use our eyes to read so that we can learn. We use our eyes to work so that we can make money. We use our eyes in order to make a living. But other than using our eyes in the right rational way, what other ways do we use our eyes? We use our eyes to see the faults of others so that we can criticize them. We use our eyes to see pornography that we shouldn't be seeing. We use our eyes to see games that we can do 3 hours on. We use our eyes to, we use our eyes sometimes in the right way and sometimes in the wrong way. When we use our eyes, for example, if I use my eyes to see the opposite sex, and then all of a sudden I have a sensual urge in my mind, and then as this urge is cultivated, and if I have a criminal attitude, I could perform things like, many, illegal act, because you use our eyes in obsession of pursuit of sensual pleasures in the content of the game. Computer games, if it's not sex, it's violence. You want to KO the other guy, you want to shoot him, you want to chop him. So what is that violence? You always want to win the other guy, shoot the other guy, kick the other guy. And other than that, what is in the games? You should know. So what have you been using our eyes to? Sometimes in the right way, with the right perspective, sometimes in the wrong way. How about the ears? How do we use our ears? You should know. Sometimes in the right way, sometimes in the wrong way. Sound. How do we use our nose? Sometimes in the wrong way, sometimes in the right way. How do we use our tongue? Do we use our tongue in the wrong way? People say, no. What do you mean by using my tongue in the wrong way? There's so many ways that you have been misusing your tongue. You have been using your tongue to tell, to gossip, to lie. Those are right ways. You have been using our tongue, we have been using our tongue to what? To eat the flesh and blood of animals, to slaughter them, pigs, ducks, chickens, and going through the taste buds at the expense of animals suffering from being slaughtered. You think it's the right way. But do you know how many chickens were killed every day? You know how they were killed? In a mass assembly line? Upside down, hooked up on a hook, blood dripping down. They can slaughter a chicken in 5 minutes. And how many chickens they will slaughter? Go and visit a chicken farm, a turkey farm. How do the turkeys get killed? I saw how turkeys were killed in a farm many, many years ago. They have someone holding an iron rod to hit the turkey until the turkey is dead. And then they do what they have to do. So there's so many ways. We use our perception sometimes in the right way and sometimes in the wrong way. And what's the percentage of right and percentage of wrong? What's karma? Some people use the perception, most of it is in wholesome karma. Some people use it in unwholesome, using unwholesome karma. So don't blame that your destiny is not as good as the others. You created your own destiny because you created your own karma. What is karma? The energy you produce, expressed or potential. So, tongue, body, all this perception, well, we've been using our sensory organs sometimes in the right way and sometimes in the wrong way. And how about cognition? Cognition is inside, in the mind. The mind is sometimes rational and sometimes irrational. The ego is always there. We always have that ego. Store consciousness, good or bad, or store in that place. The store consciousness, the alive consciousness, is the actual consciousness. It's invisible. Consciousness is like energy. How can it be visible? But you know, when a body dies, the last that leaves the body is the energy of the eight consciousness. Your perception all died. Your eyes, your ears, your nose, your tongue, your body all died. Say if you live up to 100 years, all died. And then your brain is no longer working anymore. There's no cognition anymore. You can't cognize anymore. When you are dead, how can you see? When you were dead for a long time, your body gets decay. Your ego consciousness would immediately, on the verge of death, shrink into the eighth consciousness. The storage consciousness becomes one, and that alive consciousness would leave your body and reincarnate into the next form. So we are changing form all the time without changing, without eliminating the energy. Based on the conservation of energy, the energy never gets disappeared. Energy only changes form. It will never disappear. That's proven by science. The Buddha talked about it 2,600 years ago. Our body, the energy that we create, actually we shouldn't use the word creation because energy is one constant there. It's never created, it's never destroyed. But the energy we got to express, we carry that energy for many, many lifetimes. And we carry that energy to the next life too. What kind of energy? Is that the energy given by God? No, it's not given by God. You created that energy, not God. How can you say God wants you to kill? How can you say God wants you to lie? You created the energy yourself, and you have to be responsible for that energy. Hopefully everybody creates good energy. Good cause will come to good effect. So your destiny is in your hands. We always say thoughts will give rise to words. Words give rise to thought. How can you think without words? And then words become a language, spoken. And thought would pushes you to speak and to act. The action in speeches. When action and speeches are always done repeatedly, it becomes your habit. It becomes your habit, right? Your thought would drive your actions out. Your action and speeches are all repeated all the time, becomes your habit. And that habit is repeated all the time, it becomes your personality. That personality determines your destiny. Don't blame mom and dad for your poverty. Don't blame mom and dad for anything. You created your own personality. Your future, your destiny is in your own hands, not in God's hands, in your own hands. So how do you want to change it? The Buddha said you can change it, understand it. It's just like how do you overcome your depression? You first of all have to understand the nature of the depression, the characteristics of depression. Understand depression in a better way. Fully understand depression. But understanding is not enough. Understanding is not enough. You have to bring your understanding into practice. You have to learn how to overcome it, how to practice it, how to practice overcoming your depression. It's the same thing. In order to practice it, you have to carry out into action. How do you do it? So given that, we can think about that, then we know what kind of actions that we should perform in order to practice the Buddha's teaching. Understand the Buddha's teaching and then carry that teaching into practice. Getting back to meditation, getting back to practice. How do we practice a meditation? We have to understand the nature of meditation, the introspection part of it, the concepts. And then we have to carry out the stabilization and carry on with the introspection. So in other words, wisdom, morality, and meditation all go hand in hand together. One cannot go without the other. This is in more modern terms. We have the eyes, the ears, the nose, the tongue, and the body. And we have this mind, we call it mano, which interact with all these perceptions that interact with externalities, which is the mind. And behind the mind, we have this ego, this self, that strongly control the mind. Why are we selfish? Why are we egoistic? Because that ego dominates the mano manager, the mind manager. And then all these is stored in the storage consciousness. You see all these seeds? These are the seeds. Seeds means it's latent. It's not sprout into plants yet. So we have unwholesome emotions and unwholesome emotions all stored in there, in the alive consciousness. Nothing can go away. You can never go away with anything you have done. You have lied, you have hurt someone, you have bullied someone, you have done something wrong. You think nobody knows? You think nobody knows about it? You stole something and you never got caught by the police. You think I got away from it. No. You can get away from the police, but you cannot get away from your own consciousness. Your own consciousness store everything you have done, everything you have thought, everything you have spoken, just as the disk drive of a computer recorded everything, the programming, the data. Is a very good analogy. We're like a robot, for example. We're like a robot. Everything gets stored. You won't get away with it. But we want to be a good robot, though. A robot that is helpful, a robot that is giving wholesome emotions, not unwholesome ones. So all these get stored. Wholesome emotions. Emotions are not always negative, you know. Try to breathe, try to cultivate wholesome emotions. But you think wholesome emotion is the best, right? Don't you think that? The Buddha said wholesome emotions is better than unwholesome emotion. But emotion is an emotion. Emotion, ultimately, whether wholesome or unwholesome, we have to go beyond them. We have to go even beyond burger, beyond wholesome emotions. If you think about it, the Buddha said if you enjoy the effects, the fruits of wholesome emotions, there is still a danger. Do you know why? There's still a danger. Why? Because if you have done all the merits in this world, you have carried out all the wholesome emotions, you know what happened to you in this life? You'll be happier, you'll be more healthy, you have all the merits in this world, but you still have to die, right? Who does not have to die? Raise your hand. Right? If you don't have to die, you won't die, raise your hands. If you know that you will die in the future, raise your hands. So how come you don't raise your hands, right? You will die in the future, that's for sure. Are you not sure that you will die in the future? Youngsters, they will never think of death because they're too young to think of death. But you think that death is only for the aged guys, for the senior guys, right? No. Death is for every age. If you go to Ocean View and check out all these years of death and the birth date, you check that there are youngsters on the tombstone. They're youngsters. Not just for the senior people. So what does that tell us? We really have to practice to go beyond burger, beyond living, beyond time. So, getting back to unwholesome emotions will produce bad effects to you. That's for sure. You will suffer. All kinds of suffering come from unwholesome emotions. But how about wholesome emotions? Everybody said, oh, I have joy, I have faith, I have equanimity, I have no greediness, no hatred. I'm perfect. If you have almost no unwholesome emotions, you have all wholesome emotions, you will enjoy happiness in this life or much happier than others. But when you die, what happened to you? You'll be born in heaven. Really. It's the same concept as many other religions. But heaven is not the final place to go because you haven't cleared up your klesis. In other words, you haven't cleared up all the emotions. When you go to heaven, you enjoy all happiness. You still have to come down to reincarnation. When you come down to reincarnation, that happens to you in most cases that you become a multi-billionaire, right? You'll be born in a good family. You know why some babies were born in a rich family and some babies were born in a poor family? Is it because of God give them a chance to be poor? God give them a chance to be rich? No. It's, according to the Buddhist teaching, it's the karma that pull you to where you should be born. It depends on the effects, on the causes that you have cultivated. So assuming that you've done everything good, in your next life you'll be a multi-billionaire. Don't be jealous of multi-billionaires. They might have done something right. Not only in this life, in their previous lives too. We always talk about reincarnations. Imagine if you're a multi-millionaire and you've done something right, you become one of the richest, the 10 most richest in the world. What happened? There will be a lot of friends coming to visit you. Girlfriends? Most of them are girlfriends. What do they want? They have different motives. They want your money. They want your reputation, your fame. And then you're mixed with people, and these people will get into trouble. These people will get you into sexual misconduct. These people will get you into trying to multiply your money by false contracts, by illegal means, by things you shouldn't do, you shouldn't have done. Then you're involved in bad karma again. Unwholesome karma. In your next life, you won't be a multi-billionaire anymore because of all the bad karma you have created in this life. Where would you go? You may go to the animal realms. There are 6 realms of reincarnation, or the ghost realm, or the hell realms. You go down, victims of hell. So I've given you, time is up, I've given you mental experiences. Think about mental experiences. If you have this mental experience framework in your mind, how would it help you? It helps you to think on every action, every thought. Be careful of every thought. Try to cultivate only good thought. Start from the thought. Try to be preventative. Prevent bad thought from arising. If a bad thought have already arisen, try to eliminate the bad thought before it expressed into action. And other than that, foster good thought and maintain that good thought. So you have prevention, elimination, cultivation, and maintenance. You can even apply these 4 perspectives to anything you do. In your career, in your job. In your job, preventing yourself from being lazy, preventing yourself from being selfish, preventing yourself from having bad relationship with your colleagues, preventative measures. If you already done something wrong, eliminate a bad relationship by doing something good. And then try to cultivate good relationship with your colleagues, with your job relationships. Do a good job in cultivating of energy, cultivating of diligence, wisdom. And how about maintenance? Maintain that wisdom level, maintain that diligence level, maintain the productivity level, maintain a good human relationship. So that actually applies to everything. The Buddhist teaching is applicable to daily life. Not just about offering flowers and incense and prostrations, not just that. It's only for the beginners who haven't had that faith. They need the flowers to build up the faith, the incense. It does not mean that you don't need flowers anymore, but what I'm saying is you go a higher and higher level. The wisdom of the Buddha, it's unfathomable. It's even deeper than the sea. You cannot fathom the bottom of the sea.
Let's now listen to a Buddhist song titled Guardian of the Sasana by Wayfarers.
At the age of the forest, where the spring water flows, in search of nirvana, that is where I would go, watching life's little dramas with a calm repose. At the age of the forest, that is where I would go. Let us practice the Dharma in a silent heart, worry not of the future, gently let go the past, sit in deep contemplation in one-pointedness, and in that soft moment there is just timelessness.
Now it is time for Jataka Tales, which is a large collection of Buddhist morality stories whereby Buddha recounts some of his past lives on his journey towards enlightenment. We would like to now present a Jataka tale titled Kapotaka Jataka.
กโปตกะชาดก ชาดกว่าด้วยความเป็นผู้มีใจโลเลอันพระพุทธวจนะทั้งหมดทั้งสิ้นที่ผ่านความยาวนานของการเวลามากกว่า 2,500 ปีนั้นมีพระธรรมคำสอนเพียงไม่กี่ข้อที่ผู้คนในโลกจำกันขึ้นใจบุคคลพึงสำเร็จได้ด้วยความเพียรก็เป็นพระพุทธธรรมข้อหนึ่งที่เราจดจำนำไปปฏิบัติกันอย่างกว้างขวางการปฏิบัติกิจใดโดยความเพียรก็ย่อมมีข้อขันติอดทนไม่มีใจโลเลเป็นสิ่งนำสู่ความสำเร็จด้วยดังเห็นอันนำไปสู่การตรัสกโปตกะชาดกในพระเชตวันมหาวิหารณพุทธกาลครั้งหนึ่งการละครั้งนั้นยังมีภิกษุรูปหนึ่งมีนิสัยโลเลบางครั้งก็ตั้งใจประพฤติปฏิบัติธรรมอย่างเคร่งครัดแต่บางครั้งก็เบื่อหน่ายเลิกล้มความภาคเพียรลง
นั่งสมาธิอยู่นานแล้วยายจิตใจของเรายังไม่สงบนะเฮ้ย มันช่างยากจริง
บางครั้งภิกษุท่านนี้ถึงขนาดท้อแท้ขาดกำลังใจไม่อาจกระทำความเพียรไปได้อย่างสม่ำเสมอ
ๆโธ่เอ้ยเวรกรรมอะไรของเรานะ
เมื่อพระสัมมาสัมพุทธเจ้าทรงโปรดด้วยพระกรุณาธิคุณแก่ภิกษุผู้มีจิตใจโลเลนั้นด้วยเรื่องราวในอดีตชาติที่พระองค์เคยเกื้อกูลสั่งสอนกันมาก่อนทรงระลึกชาติครั้งนั้นด้วยบุพเพนิวาสานุสติญาณผ่านเวลาย้อนไปในชาติภพหนึ่งในพาราณสีณการนั้นมีพ่อครัวจิตใจดีคนหนึ่งมีหน้าที่ซื้ออาหารมาปรุงรสเลี้ยงดูทุกคนในตระกูลของนายจางพ่อครัวผู้นี้ซื่อตรงมีวินัยและจิตใจดีจริง
วันนี้ตลาดมีของสดเยอะแยะเลยอะไรก็น่าซื้อน่ากินไปซะหมดของดีๆสดๆทั้งนั้นเลย
ทุกครั้งเมื่อซื้อเนื้อสัตว์ผักพืชผลใดๆมาได้ก็แบ่งคัดเพื่อปรุงให้เศรษฐีนายจ้างและเหล่าบริวารอย่างเหมาะสมตลอดมา
อันนั้นน่ะส่วนของท่านเศรษฐีนะอันเนี้ยส่วนของเจ้าไปปรุงกินกับสามีเจ้าเถิด
ขอบคุณมากเดี๋ยวข้าทำเสร็จแล้วจะตักแบ่งมาให้ท่านด้วยนะ
ไม่เป็นไรหรอกพวกเจ้าทานกันให้อิ่มเถอะสามีเจ้าทำงานหนักมาทั้งวันคงจะหิวแล้วละไม่รู้แค่นี้จะพอหรือเปล่านะ
รีบไปทำก็เถอะไม่ต้องมาประชดข้าหรอก
ที่ชายคาโรงครัวนั้นพ่อครัวใจบุญได้นำตะกร้ารองด้วยใบหญ้าเป็นรังให้นกพิราบตัวหนึ่งได้พักอาศัยนกพิราบออกไปกินในละแวกเมืองพาราณสีแต่เช้าใกล้อาทิตย์ตกก็กลับมานอนรังตนไม่เคยรบกวนให้พ่อครัวร้อนใจ
รังนี้อุ่นจังพ่อครัวช่างใจดีแท้อุตส่าห์ทำรังให้เราอยู่
จนกระทั่งมีอีกาตัวหนึ่งเข้ามาตีสนิทและพูดคุยคบหากันอีกาตัวนั้นแวะเวียนมามิได้ห่าง
กวันนี้เราไปหากินทางตะวันตกบ้างนะไกลหน่อยแต่ของอร่อยเยอะมากขอบอก
ได้สิจ๊ะแม่กามารับแต่เช้าทุกวันเลยนะไปกันเถอะพูดแล้วข้าก็ชักหิว
ตอนเช้ากาจะมารอใกล้ๆรังนกพิราบแล้วบินออกไปด้วยกันพอเย็นก็แวะลงมาส่งดูจนเป็นปกติที่มิตรสหายปฏิบัติต่อกัน
โอ้ยช่วงนี้อากาศหนาวเจ้ารีบเข้ารังเสียตั้งแต่วันเถอะเราไปก่อนละ
จ้าแล้วพรุ่งนี้เช้าเจอกันเหมือนเดิมนะเจ้าก็บินกลับรังดีๆล่ะ
นานวันเข้าอีกาก็ยิ่งทำตัวสนิทเข้าใกล้ชิดจนถึงรังที่อยู่อาศัยของนกพิราบอย่างเปิดเผย
ยังไม่ตื่นอีกเหรอนกพิราบกเพื่อนที่แสนดีมารับแล้วจ้าก
ตายจริงนี่เจ้ามารับเราถึงรังเลยเหรอ
ก็ข้าไม่เห็นเจ้าออกมาสักทีก็เลยมาหานะสิว่าแต่รังเจ้านี่น่าอยู่จังนะ
ใช่สิจ๊ะพ่อครัวเขาทำไว้ให้น่ะอุ่นมากเลยนะ
อีกานั้นช่างพูดช่างเจรจาอีกทั้งคบหากันมาหลายวันก็ไม่ได้ทำผิดคิดร้ายอะไรนกพิราบก็เริ่มใช้ชีวิตอย่างปกติสุขคลายความทุกข์จากการระแวงอีกาลงไป
มีแม่กาเป็นเพื่อนนี่ก็ดีเหมือนกันหายเหงาได้เลยเรา
พ่อครัวรู้เห็นการคบค้าสมาคมของนกพิราบกับอีกาอยู่ตลอดเวลาจึงสงเคราะห์ด้วยการแขวนรังใหม่ขึ้นอีกรังหนึ่งให้อีกา
เอามาอยู่ใกล้ๆกันซะจะได้มีเพื่อน
กพ่อครัวใจดีที่สุดเลยตอนนี้เราได้อยู่ด้วยกันแล้วนะก
อย่าเอ็ดไปจะรบกวนพ่อครัวกับคนในครัวเขา
แหมก็ข้าดีใจอะกอุ๊ยตายรังอุ่นน่านอนจริง
เมื่อได้สิทธิเสมอกันอีกาจึงเริ่มตีตนออกห่างไม่บินไปหากินพร้อมกันดังเคยปฏิบัติ
วนทะเลทลายหากินจนมืดค่ำเกินเวลาอย่างนี้เลยไม่ดีนะ
วันนี้เราออกไปกินไกลหน่อยนะแล้วทำไมแม่กาไม่ไปด้วยกันล่ะ
โอ้ยข้าไม่อยากไปไกลหรอกกินใกล้ๆนี่แหละจะได้กลับมานอนในรังอุ่นๆเร็วๆ
ที่ประหลาดมากกว่านั้นบางวันอีกาทำท่าเหมือนไม่อยากออกไปหากินซึ่งผิดจากธรรมชาติของกาทั่วไป
เอ้ยน่ากินจังปลาทะเลนึ่งซีอิ๊วปลานึ่งบ๊วยก็มีปลาต้มเค็มปลาสามรสอีกโอ้โหเห็นแล้วน้ำลายสอเลยเรา
ในโรงครัวมักมีอาหารคาวที่อีกาโปรดปรานมายั่วน้ำลายมันอยู่เสมอสิ่งนี้จึงทำให้อีกาเกิดความอยากไม่ต้องการไปหาอาหารที่อื่นอยากลิ้มรสอาหารในโรงครัวแทน
วันนี้มีแต่ปลาตัวโตๆสดๆทั้งนั้นเลยท่านเศรษฐีต้องชอบใจแน่ๆเลย
งั้นเดี๋ยวข้าคัดตัวเล็กๆหน่อยไปตากไว้ทำเป็นแดดเดียวบ้างดีมากพ่อครัว
ดีแขวนระวังล่ะอย่าให้มดหรือแมลงวันมาตอมแล้วกัน
บางครั้งพ่อครัวแม่ครัวก็เอาปลาบ้างเนื้อบ้างมาแขวนผึ่งลมไว้ใกล้หน้าต่างอีกาทนกลืนน้ำลายอยู่ไม่ไหวเกิดอยากขโมยกินตามสันดานของกา
ปลาน่ากินจังโอ้ยหอมเหลือเกินของโปรดเราทั้งนั้นหนอนตัวโตแค่ไหนรสชาติก็สู้เนื้อปลาไม่ได้อุ้ยน่ากินเหลือเกิน
วันหนึ่งอีกาแซงทำเป็นปวดท้องบินไม่ไหวขอหยุดนอนในรัง1 วันแต่นกพิราบนั้นรู้ทันเล่ห์เหลี่ยมจึงเตือนด้วยเห็นว่าเป็นมิตรสหาย
อุ้ยวันนี้เราปวดท้องเหลือเกินสงสัยจะออกไปหากินกับเจ้าไม่ได้แล้วล่ะอุ้ยปวดท้องอุ้ยกาอุ้ยสงสัยท้องเสียแน่ๆเลย
เจ้ากาเอ้ยสัญชาติกานั้นน่ะไม่มีโรคปวดท้องมารบกวนหรอกเรารู้ดีน่ะว่าธรรมชาติของกานั้นน่ะย่อมหิวไม่เคยอิ่มเรารู้ว่าเจ้ามีแผนอะไรในใจไม่ควรนะเจ้า
อย่ามาทำเป็นรู้ดีเนี่ยเลยนะเราไม่อยากจะกินหนอนอะไรอีกแล้วดูสิในครัวมีแต่ปลาตัวโตๆที่นั้นเจ้าไปเถอะเราจะกินของในครัวนี่แหละ
อาหารนั้นน่ะพ่อครัวเก็บไว้สำหรับมนุษย์พวกเขาเราควรออกไปหากินภาษาเราเถอะอย่าเห็นแก่ปากอย่าอยากตามท้องเลยเจ้ากาเอ้ย
เจ้าไม่ต้องมาสั่งสอนข้าเลยสัญชาติกาก็ต้องกินปลามันเป็นของคู่กัน มื้อนี้หวานปากแน่
ๆฮ่าเจ้ากาเราเตือนเจ้าแล้วนะ
เมื่อกาไม่ยอมทำตามนกพิราบก็จำต้องออกจากรังไปหากินตามลำพัง
เจ้ากาเอ้ยถ้าเจ้าเห็นแก่ความอยากเช่นนี้เจ้าต้องได้รับกรรมสนองแน่
เมื่อนกพิราบออกไปจากรังอีกาก็รอจนในโรงครัวเงียบเสียงลงก็กระโดดเข้าไปบนโต๊ะเตรียมอาหาร
ว้าวปลากระพงอุ้ยเนื้อตุ๋นไม่มีใครอยู่เฝ้าด้วยมื้อนี้ขอละกันลาปากจริงๆอุ้ยหวาน
แต่แล้วอีกาก็คิดผิดและตกใจจนแทบสิ้นสติเพราะพ่อครัวเข้ามาพบเข้าอย่างจัง
ๆกาตายแล้วพ่อครัวปิดประตูหน้าต่างขังเราแล้วกาคราวนี้ตายแน่
ๆหลังจากไล่ต้อนอยู่ไม่นานอีกาก็โดนพ่อครัวจับตัวไว้จนได้
เสร็จข้าละเจ้ากาเนละคุณให้พักอาศัยดีๆยังไม่สำนึกอีกอยากจะกินเนื้ออบหรือดีข้าจะเอาเจ้ามาหมักดูบ้าง
กาข้าผิดไปแล้วปล่อยข้าไปเถอะก
ากรรมสนองกรรมของอีกาครั้งนี้นกพิราบได้มาพบเห็นก็เย็นมากแล้ว จึงได้แต่เวทนามัน
โธ่เอ้ยถูกถอนขนโชมน้ำเกลือและเนยเปรี้ยวขนาดเนี้ยเห็นทีเจ้าต้องตายแน่
กาโอ้ยเหม็นแสบไปทั้งตัว
อันความทุกข์ใหญ่หลวงของเจ้าเนี่ยเกิดเพราะนิสัยโลเลทำดีไม่ตลอดและโลภมากนั่นเอง
ไม่ทันสิ้นแสงตะวันอีกาใจโลเลก็สิ้นลมหายใจซ้ำยังทิ้งความเดือดร้อนไว้เบื้องหลังเป็นบาปติดตัวไปยังนรกภูมิ
ฮ่ากาตัวเนี้ยทำให้พ่อครัวไม่ไว้ใจเสียแล้วขืนอยู่ต่อไปเนี่ยก็คงมีอันตรายขึ้นสักวันนับว่าเราไว้ใจคบคนชั่วเป็นมิตรแท้ๆฮ่า
รุ่งอรุณจับขอบฟ้าวันต่อมานกพิราบก็กล่าวขอบคุณพ่อครัวที่อนุเคราะห์ที่พักอาศัยมานานอย่างสำนึกพระคุณแล้วออกเดินทางไปหารังใหม่อาศัยต่อไปจนสิ้นอายุไขพระพุทธองค์ตรัสกโปตกะชาดกจบแล้วทรงแสดงอริยสัจสี่โดยอเนกปริยายภิกษุผู้ละความเพียรเพราะใจโลเลก็รู้เหตุและน้อมนำพระธรรมเทศนาเป็นกำลังใจปฏิบัติดีได้ในบัดนั้นผู้ใดบุคคลกล่าวสอนอยู่ไม่ทำตามคำสอนของผู้ปรารถนาดีผู้อนุเคราะห์ด้วยประโยชน์เกื้อกูลผู้นั้นย่อมถึงความหายนะเศร้าโศกอยู่เหมือนกาไม่เชื่อฟังคำของนกพิราบต้องตกอยู่ในกิเลสฉะนั้นในพุทธกาลสมัยอีกากำเนิดเป็นภิกษุผู้จิตใจโลเลนกพิราบเสวยพระชาติเป็นพระพุทธเจ้า
At the age of the forest, where the spring water flows, in search of nirvana, that is where I would go. Watching life's little dramas with a calm repose. At the age of the forest, that is where I would go. Let us practice the Dharma in a silent heart, worry not of the future, gently let go.
That concludes today's program. If you have any questions about the contents of our broadcast, please feel free to reach out to us at info@bdtv.com. Our dedicated team remains committed to sharing the profound teachings of the Buddha, helping you walk the path of wisdom and enlightenment. Thank you for joining us. We look forward to see you again tomorrow at the same time. Namo Buddhaya.